if this wasn't already a difficult game against one of the 3 or 4 best teams in hockey, this makes it pretty hard.
This is, and again, this is more, we've talked about it on the show before, but this is more of an NBA thing.
Yeah.
This is a scheduled loss. Like this is a game where on the schedule you look at it and you're like, yeah, you're probably not going to win this.
Everybody, how you doing? Woo! Welcome to PHLY Flyers Postgame. My name is Bill Matz. I'm your director of fun and games for the evening, late evening, after dark, whatever we're calling it. Joining me live in the Xfinity studio, it is Philly's #1 hockey beat writer, Charlie O'Connor. I love when we can have a little cold open with a callback to pregame. Yeah. You and I both agreed that this was a scheduled loss. We talked about this yesterday on postgame.
Yep.
And of course, the Philadelphia Flyers, they love doing this.
Scale of 1 to 10, how surprised are you they won this game? With 10 being the most surprised, 1 being the like, nah, I expected this.
Like, it's not a 10.
Okay.
Because they love doing this. Like I said, I would shave my head if they beat the best team in the NHL, and that was a month and a half ago. They love doing this. 7.5.
Okay. I'm probably at like 9. It's not quite as unexpected as that Colorado win.
Yeah.
But it's close.
And we talked about it, like what led up to you saying scheduled loss in pregame was the spot they were in.
Yeah.
Not only are they in Minnesota against a cup contending team.
Yeah, Minnesota is a better team than the Flyers on paper, just right off the bat.
They have they could have played 5-on-3, and you'd be like, oh yeah, they still probably like goes to overtime in that situation.
Well, maybe not that.
Like, no, just like the spot the Flyers were in, not only are they just not nearly as good as the Wild, back end of a back-to-back, traveling from Philly to Minnesota to play a rested team. That's awesome. Yeah. It's hard to do. It was a tough spot, and that's kind of where I am with my wooing in this one, Charlie. Not because like I'm deluding myself into the playoffs, but hey, crazy stuff happens sometimes. I guess it's still a legitimate possibility now with a win, back-to-back wins. They've won like 7 of 9, I want to say, 6 of 8, something like that.
I'd have to go back through and see the exact.
Yeah.
I mean, now, I think the thing for me, like, and we'll get into the end of it, the specific game, because there's a lot of things about this game that were very exciting and were really cool to watch. But in the short term, the thing that's most exciting to me is like suddenly Saturday's game matters.
Yeah.
Suddenly I am excited for Saturday's game because Saturday's game is against the Columbus Blue Jackets, another team that is in this Eastern Conference playoff race. I was expecting that game to have no juice. It would just to be, okay, well, yeah, it matters to the Blue Jackets because they're close and the Flyers are out of it. Now, if they beat I'm still not there. I'm not there yet in terms of actually thinking they're going to pull this off and come all the way back. But if they beat the Blue Jackets,
it's a conversation.
If they beat them in regulation, then I have to take it seriously.
Yeah.
I have to. And that's exciting to me because I didn't think I was going to be at this point 3 weeks ago when we were heading back into hockey after the Olympic break.
There's some funny odds and ends. Speaking of misses in pregame, Charlie, the Flyers, this is their 22nd overtime game. It's the 25th for the Wild. Minnesota now is tied with LA for the league lead. Flyers are tied with Vegas for third most overtime games pending tonight's action. I didn't look it up. That's just what it was coming into tonight. This is the Flyers' 8th shootout win of the season. Franchise record. They broke a tie with the 16-17 team. They're 8-3 in shootouts this year. And now with 12 shootout goals, that is the second most in franchise history. They had 13 in 11-12 and 16-17. So, man, if we could expand the playoff field and then institute shootouts, this team is a cup contender.
And they did it without Trevor Zegras scoring a shootout goal.
Yeah, for the second time this year. There was the Penguins game where he got kicked out before the shootout. And then there's this one where Zegras doesn't score, and they still are able to win in the shootout,
Yes,
but we should have bet overtime tonight.
I have the numbers. So they've now won 6 of their last 8. They lost the very first game coming out of the break. So they played 9 games since the break. They've won 6 of those 9, 6 of their last 8. And so not bad. They're back in the mix, even at least on the periphery. And again, 3 weeks ago, I did not think that was going to be possible when we got to March 12th.
And I really think this gets back to our conversation from post-game last night, where I said, Charlie, on April 15th, when we're it's the day after the season ends, is the story going to be, damn, dude, they just threw it away in January? Because we're watching this game and listen, yeah, they win in a shootout and they get a lot of wins in shootouts. We know they go to overtime all the time. They get a ton of extra points that way, but they're not a bad team. No. They had a terrible 15-game stretch from game 42 up until the Olympic break where they won 3 out of 15. And if they go 500, they're in the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pending the next 17 games. But yeah.
And to be clear, they're not a great team either.
No.
I don't even know if I would go so far as to call them a good team. But they are in a league this year where there are a lot of mid teams. There are not enough good teams, like legitimately, oh man, this team scares me good. There are not enough of those good teams to even come close to filling out a full 16-team NHL playoff bracket. So you're going to have 4 or 5 just decent teams make the playoffs. And the Flyers in early January were in position to be one of those teams. Then in January, they crumbled up that piece of paper and threw it in the wastebasket. And now they're like doing their best to take the piece of paper out of the wastebasket and flatten it out as best as possible. I don't think they can do it, but man, they're trying really, really hard.
Charlie, you are such a good writer.
I wasn't even writing.
I'm just saying, words. Your use of the language it just constantly impresses me. What a storyteller this guy is. No, they are not a bad team. And we're talking about Saturday. Like, is Columbus a good team? I don't know, but they have last I checked, they're not in a playoff spot, and they had better odds to make the playoffs than Boston, who is. Like it was something like that.
Probably
like it was
schedule related.
Yeah, like one of those, pace and whatever. But like, is Columbus a good team? I don't know.
I don't think so.
Name 5 guys. Like,
Zach Werenski and
yeah, that's it used to be a thing. Ryan Russello used to have a thing, like, you talk about the NFL, a defense is bad when it's like you name one guy and then it's like, and those guys, they got the rest of the guys.
That's other people.
That's Columbus. Like, I don't know, Fantilli, Werenski, Provy's there, right?
Yeah, Provy's there.
I got the 3. Like, are they good? No, but that's what the East is this year. And January really just pooped in our cereal. Quite honestly, I'm not quite the writer you are.
William, good try, good effort.
We have to single out one guy tonight for me, and we did the same last night. For tonight's game changer, driven by Elkin Chevrolet. Elkin Chevy, together, let's drive. Listen, TK scores the winner. I thought Zegras had a good game. There's a couple of guys who stood out tonight. But it's got to be Owen Tippett. Owen Tippett with the throwback shorthanded goal.
That was cool. That reminded me of when I first got into hockey. Because those goals in the late 90s, early 2000s, they were very frequent. You saw those once a game. The big slap shot from distance. Goalies are just too good now. And Brian Boucher said it on the broadcast. Goalies are too good. They don't give up those goals anymore. I almost wonder if Wallstead, because goalies are so good, nobody tries it.
Nobody takes that shot.
And he was so shocked that somebody tried it that's what fooled him.
So he was, I thought, everywhere. Just like last night, I thought Owen Tippett was everywhere and didn't need, the reward for his efforts with the empty netter this time. He actually ties the game, which eventually forces overtime. But he creates that turnover. He has been... I think his passes have been crisp. He almost set up Grunstrom with a great one, but Grunstrom mishandled it. With like a minute left, he set up TK on a wraparound, and TK just whiffed on what could have been the game winner. He was all over the place tonight, and he's really, I know we've said this so many times, but rounded out his game to the point of, all right, maybe he didn't become the 30, 35 goal scorer we were all hoping for. He's at 22 now. But damn, he does so many things well. Tonight was he was near highlight reel plays a few times, but we were saying like he's 80-90% of the way there, just not quite finishing, and then finally gets the shorthanded goal. He wound up. He is well above the circles when he winds up for that shot.
I know.
Like that was a distant slapper that he just pumped into the net. That was so cool. This is a stat I really like about Owen Tippett. You know, I've ragged on him for the power play production for several years now.
I know.
He scored his third shorthanded goal of the season. They're the only 3 of his career. He has 2 power play goals.
He's got more shorties than power play goals.
Shorties than power play goals, and he gets consistent power play time.
Also, that is kind of the Philadelphia Flyers, though, right?
I mean, it's not. I mean,
what was it 2 years ago? Was the year where it was like well into November and they had more shorthanded goals than power play goals?
It was December, and I think they were tied. It was like maybe one. They were ahead at one point, I think. But yeah, and a couple of years ago, you and I talked about potentially seeing Owen Tippett in a penalty killing role, and it was. Man, he would be so dangerous if he ever got in space because he has the speed, like him backing off a little, like sucking, and then, you know, almost Asante Samuel baiting the pass.
Yeah.
And it was, I don't know quite if he has the IQ to take advantage of how special he could be in that role. And suddenly, hey, man, 3 shorthanded goals. Granted, one was an empty netter, but you still got to score it. He's been... I like this experiment, and I can't believe where I am with Owen Tippett after last April, quite honestly.
I'd love to pull up some of
I know, we need to get that.
Some of the clips. Because Brenna's pulling up clips from the pregame show. I'd love to pull up some clips from post-exit interview Bill and how angry he was at Owen Tippett for what Tippett basically said, like, I don't think I had that bad of a year, and you wanted to string him up. You were livid at Owen Tippett.
I know we often say, like, can you really take anything out of what players say in interviews and stuff? Like, they're just saying whatever. And comparing the season Tippett has had after that exit interview to the thing that really fired me up, Michkov being like, everything sucked, I hated it, I'm terrible. And then, like, you know, the season he's had now to follow it up isn't like, oh, I'm going to kill it this It's just funny.
Yeah.
It's just funny to me this has worked out. But tonight's game changer had to be Owen Tippett forcing overtime with the shorthanded blast. And he's on a run right now.
He's been playing great hockey. Obviously, he was fantastic last night. He was far and away the best player. I thought the first 2-ish periods, you know, in the lead up to the shorthanded game tying goal, he was good. He was noticeable. He was popping. He was moving well, but he was getting about like 85% of the way to a really good play a lot of times. And then it was getting puck knocked off a stick, or he was passing the puck and the other person wasn't doing anything with it. And you're like, man, he's right there. He's right there. And then he has that big play. But you look at his final stat line, you know, Brenna put it up, 6 shots on goal. That's impressive. But also, he had 9 shot attempts last game. He had 11 shot attempts this game. 20 shot attempts across 2 games, and 12 of them hit the net. So we're talking about an above 50% accuracy rate. I know that's been something a lot of people over the years have been very critical of Owen Tippett for, is that he misses the net too much, hits the glass, things like that. Well, he's taking tons of shots. He's being assertive. He's playing that, you know, that very I want the puck and I want to score kind of game, and he's not missing the net. He's making goalies make saves. I mean, this is... I hesitate to say this is the best I've ever seen Owen Tippett play, because we've seen him play some really good games, but I don't know if I've ever seen him play 2 games this impactful right in a row.
Yeah. And just to wrap this up before the break, Charlie, I wanted to get to the shots thing, but we can do it now. Like last year, one of the things was maybe he's deferring because he played a lot with Michkov. Maybe he's deferring to him. Only 188 shots on goal last season, and this is after going well over 200 in the previous 2 years, and 424 attempts. This year, he's already at 172 after tonight on only 334. So the accuracy is better, and he's just being more productive with the shots he's taking. 2 more goals than he has scored last year already with 17 games to go. Can't say enough about Owen Tippett right now, and I can't believe where I am with the guy. Just, oh yeah, trade him. Absolutely, too. I think we'd miss him. You know,
Flyers would absolutely miss him.
If they have to move him to get better somewhere else, I understand, but it is no longer a must for me. And that's quite a turnaround.
Look, if you're a trade Owen Tippett guy and you remain a trade Owen Tippett guy, I get it.
Sure.
The thing that you can say to yourself if you remain a trade Owen Tippett guy is, Man, he's got to be helping that trade value.
I have seen a lot of that. Like, well, the value's never going to be higher. That could very well be true. All right. On the other side, we're going to talk about tonight's unsung hero. We're going to talk about Dan Vladar. Whole bunch of stuff still to come, not to mention Charlie's 3 stars. Stay tuned through this break. Have you ever had one of those days where you're moving nonstop and suddenly you realize you forgot to eat? Happens to me all the time, and that's why I love what Wawa is doing right now, because Wawa has $5 deals all day, and honestly, it just makes life easier. If you're starting early, you can grab the $5 big breakfast meal deal. We're talking a breakfast sandwich, a hash brown, at any size hot or iced coffee. That's a full morning win for $5, available from 5 to 11 a.m. Then later in the day, the value keeps rolling with a crispy chicken sandwich created your way, starting at just $5. And they've even got new teriyaki recipes for a limited time. It's real food, real value, and built for busy days. No planning, no overthinking. Just swing in, grab what you need, and keep it moving. Start your day strong and fuel up whenever you need with Wawa's $5 deals. Limited time, exclusions apply. See Wawa.com for details. Gotta have a Wawa. You know, tax season is funny because it's one of the only times all year people actually look at their full financial picture. You see what you made, what you spent, what you saved, and sometimes you can be sitting there thinking, where did all that go? Well, now you can simplify your finances with Monarch. Monarch is the all-in-one personal finance tool designed to make your life easier. It helps you see exactly where your money's going and where something like a tax refund can actually make the biggest impact, whether that's paying down some debt or building up your savings. What I like about Monarch is it actually helps people stay proactive. Their AI Insights tool highlights spending trends and patterns you might miss, and the weekly recap keeps you updated on things like spending spikes, changes in your net worth, or upcoming expenses. So achieve your financial goals for good with Monarch, the all-in-one tool that makes money management simple. Use code PHLY at monarch.com for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code PHLY. Welcome back. And Charlie, I think you need to threaten the people.
Yeah, I think we need more than 101 likes, given that we have about 500 people watching this show right now. If you liked what you saw tonight from the Philadelphia Flyers, hit that like button, god damn it.
Hit it. Hit the button. All right, we're going to get to Unsung Hero in a few minutes, but I'm going to talk about Dan Vladar tonight, Charlie. Not a ton of work, or at least, recorded shots on goal in the first period. There were like 15 attempts, but only 2 or 3 hit him.
Yeah.
He stops the first 8. He eventually gives up the power play goal to Boldy about halfway through the second. Kaprizov gets one. He battled tonight. I thought he looked a little off balance, especially early, like going to glove a puck, and it was, did he just miss that? Like, what? Travis Lee? What's going on over here? But end of the day, he gave up 2 goals. It is the 27th time in his 40 appearances this year, allowing 2 or fewer. Eventually, 21 of 23 for a .913 and 0 goals against in the shootout. Maybe got a little help, but they don't ask how, they ask how many. And he just continues to, when he doesn't have his A game, figure out ways to keep them from just losing because of him. I think that's the best thing you can say about his game is in the second period, this could have got away from them, and it didn't.
Yeah, I mean, gutsy is a good word to use for the Flyers as a whole in this game, but it's an extremely good word to use for Vladar's performance specifically because, I mean, I think he had his C-plus stuff in this game. The goal he allows to Boldy's a bad one. I think he overthought it. I really do. I think he thought that Boldy was going to make another move or was going to make a pass, and that's why it looks as weak as it does.
It's almost like the Tippett goal. Like, he ain't shooting from there, is he?
Exactly. Yeah. So that's a weak goal. The Kaprizov goal, whatever. Kaprizov just went in God mode in that play. It happens sometimes, whatever. But throughout the game, I didn't think he looked terribly comfortable. I thought he had his C-plus stuff. But like any great pitcher, I think of it in pitching terms.
Yeah.
I've watched, and I'm not talking about great throwers, I'm talking about great pitchers. Like, I consider, and I will miss watching this guy as a Philadelphia Phillies fan, I think of Ranger Suarez. Ranger Suarez, I've watched him pitch games where he's got nothing. Velocity's down, pitches aren't moving, the breaking stuff isn't really working, but he just battles. He just battles. He's doing 12 pitch at bats to get guys out. They're fouling things off. He's still coming at him. And then at the end of the day, you look at it and he goes, 4 2/3. He gives up 1 run, and they end up winning the game because they take off. They score 4 against the team's bullpen because he kept them in it. That was this kind of game, I feel like, for Dan Vladar, and he comes through in a big way in the shootout. He doesn't give up a single goal in the shootout. The Konecny goal is the only one, which means that he prevented 3. Can't remember if he stopped all 3, but my view is that a shootout miss might as well count as a save because the goalie had to be in position most likely to force the miss. Vladar, I strongly considered making him as one of my 3 stars. I ultimately just left him off the list, but he easily could have made it. It's just that he didn't impress me with how he looked in this game, but at the end of the day, he battled and his numbers look like an A game, especially given the quality of competition. So props to you, Dan Vladar.
And given that in the last game, he gives up, 6 goals. His save percentage dropped 4 or 5 points in that one game.
Yeah.
Like, it was just ugly. It was an ugly performance to the point we were both like, normal schedule, we would have gone Vladar against Washington and then been like, let's see what Harrison can do in the game. We're probably not going to win. But since he just looked tired. Like, he just looked like he didn't have his stuff. They gave him the extra day. And then he comes out and he gets the W next to his name tonight. One more thing on Vladar, Charlie. Roman Czechmanek used to try to headbutt the puck.
He makes so many saves with his helmet.
I don't know if I've ever seen a guy take so many to the masks that weren't like someone would dump it in on net and Czechmanek would head it because he thought it was funny or something.
He purposely did it. Czechmanek absolutely did it on purpose.
I don't know if Vladar's doing it on purpose.
It just happens.
He just gets hit in the head twice a game.
He's got
I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, I mean, magnets don't work on rubber, but if they did, I would think that there's a magnet in his mask somewhere.
What's that? Maybe that chip in there is metal for the puck
tracking.
Yeah, maybe they have something in there, but that was just, it's just fun. Like, he shakes his mask off once a game. You see him get hit in the cage a couple. It's just funny to me. But Dan Vladar, once again, 2 or fewer goals given up, 27th time and 40 appearances for the Flyers. It is now time for the Unsung Hero, presented by Togo. Togo, the leader in operations outsourcing. Let Togo handle the work that gets in the way of your work. You call the plays, we execute. Togo.
That's good.
I want to give this one to Travis Konecny because of the redemption arc of his
love a good redemption arc
of his 3rd period overtime and then eventually scoring the shootout winner. 3rd period, he minute left, Tippett. I think maybe he could have taken the shot, but decides to then cut out, wrap around, and sets up Konecny on the side of the net with what could have been the game-winning goal.
Oh, yeah.
And TK just misses. You see him on the bench, furious, slams the door, slamming his stick. Can't believe he just whiffs on what could have been the game winner. OT, I just think everyone was forcing it on the power play a little bit. They had 3 minutes and 12 seconds of power play time and couldn't quite end the game there. And then after Michkov doesn't score, after the Wizard Zegras doesn't score, it's TK. TK's still there, finding ways to help them win on nights that it's like, oh, so close, and you expect it from him, but I like seeing that sort of redemption arc.
Yeah, and spoiler alert, I do have Travis Konecny on my 3 stars list because it's such a big goal. But he did not have a very good game. Aside from that, that almost makes the eventual game winner in the shootout more impressive.
Yes.
Because he was justifiably extremely frustrated with himself. It culminates in that whiff shot late in regulation. Could have gotten them the 2 points right there. They don't get it because he can't put the puck in the net. Now, the pass from Tippett wasn't perfect, but Konecny's a talented enough player that he could have adjusted his stick, adjusted his blade in a way that he could have picked up the pass and shoveled it in. He's justifiably livid. He's slamming the door of the bench. It was actually very funny watching it on television.
Yeah.
But understandably, he's livid at himself. He can't stand the fact that he blew a chance to win the game. Maybe Travis Konecny from 7-8 years ago would have let that affect him through the entirety of overtime and maybe even into the shootout. That would have been in his head. That would have been all he could think of. Instead, he finds a way to shake it off. And after both Michkov and Zegras, the shootout cheat code, they both fail to beat Wallstedt. Especially Zegras. Because, I mean, you can't tell me that everyone on that bench doesn't expect Zegras to score every time he goes up there in a shootout. And then when he gets stopped, you're thinking to yourself, man, can anybody beat this guy? Doesn't face Konecny. He just goes out there and does what they couldn't do and gets them the win.
Yeah, and that's, we were talking during the game, like, I definitely fall more into the category of fan who is like, I don't know, I'm kind of just over a certain era of Flyers hockey. But at the same time, I look at a guy like TK. He has been there through all of this now at this point. You know, like he's a Ron Hextall draft pick, as is Travis Sanheim. Like it's just been so long. He's played what, 2 games in the playoffs in front of the Philadelphia crowd? Like, I would love for him to be able to get to experience what real playoff hockey is in this town. And while I have sort of still resigned myself to the fate of, yeah, we're going to be tankathoning. We won't tonight. They won. But damn, man, like I want it for him. Like him specifically. You know, Travis Sanheim at least got to go to the Olympics.
Yeah, sure.
Sean Couturier has, he had other playoff runs. You know, he got to be in that 2012 series, which was awesome. TK's never actually gotten to experience it outside of, I guess, the 2 games they played in, 2018 against the Pens?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing for me with Konecny when it comes to the playoffs, and again, I'm sure, I've mentioned this on the show, I'm sure this eats at him. Not even just the fact that it's been so long since they've been in the playoffs. It's the fact that he was so bad the last time they got to the playoffs in 2020. Now, granted, weird situation. It's in the bubble. There are no fans. I'm sure a player that thrives off of emotion like he does probably missed the fact that there weren't fans in the building for him to feed off of. But he was their top scorer that year.
Yes.
I mean, it wasn't Claude Giroux. It wasn't Sean Couturier. Travis Konecny led the Flyers in scoring in 2019-2020, the last time they made the playoffs. And then he is largely a non-factor through the entirety of that playoff run. I'm sure all he wanted to do the next year was make it back to the playoffs and show everybody that was just an anomaly and he's better than that and he can go out there and he can be a playoff guy the way we all think he should be, except they missed the playoffs. And then they missed it again, and then again, and then again. And now we're here, and I imagine that still bothers him, that he still hasn't had the opportunity to make up for, quite frankly, for lack of a better word, choking in those playoffs back in 2020.
100%. I was saying, like, I think it's 1 goal, 7 assists, and 22 playoff games for this team, because I think the round robin counted the little 3-game thing they did in 2020. Like, I want his stat line for the Philadelphia Flyers in the playoffs to read not that.
Yeah.
Like, I want it to read what it should, because he has been so consistent for this team in these, especially 5 years where they haven't made the playoffs.
And the thing is, too, with Konecny, like, he was objectively poor in those 2020 playoffs.
Yeah.
But he plays a style where you think he's going to be good in the playoffs. It seems like he would be the perfect guy, you know, just stirring things up in scrums, battling, keeping the emotions high, scoring big goals, not being afraid to battle in the corners. It seems like his game is so well suited for the playoffs, and I bet he thinks about that too. I bet he thinks that, God, if I could just get there, man, I'm going to have a great postseason. They just can't get there, so he can't have a chance to show what he can do. Now, I'm not going to shed too many tears for him because, hey, if he really, really wanted to prioritize the playoffs, he didn't have to re-sign with the Flyers. He could have went to a contender and gotten to the playoffs that way. But he clearly wants to do it here. He wants to do it in Philadelphia with the team that drafted him, with his friends, with his boys, and they haven't been able to do it. And that's just as much on him as it is on the other guys, but it doesn't make you want to root for him any less.
No, that's the, like, I would like it for him. Like, as much as the experience would just be great for Michkov and Zegras and Drysdale and all these dudes who've never been there, maybe Porter Martone's here at that time, this guy, I just feel like kind of deserves it. I know people don't like that word when it's like, well, he could have just been better and we could have made the playoffs. It's like, Travis Konecny's the best player in this team. Like, and that's not a very good team. You know, like, I love the guy, but if he's your best player, you're probably going to be a team the way this has been. I would like for him to have like that under his belt. Like, yeah, man, I led the team in scoring and we got there. All right. On the other side, we're going to talk about one of those guys who's never been there, Trevor Zegras. We're going to take all your super chats, 3 stars. So much still to come in tonight's show, but we got to get that second break in. Do we really want Matvei Michkov playing goalie? No, it's not worth the risk, the time, or the money. It doesn't make sense. You want to keep your stars focused on what they do best, and the same applies to your business. For small and mid-sized businesses competing with bigger companies, it isn't about working harder, it's about working smarter. With competition heating up, you can't afford to fall behind. AI goes way beyond ChatGPT, and it gets overwhelming fast. That's why having a trusted guide like Togo matters. Togo streamlines your operations by handling customer service, accounting, order management, logistics, admin, data entry, and even complex multi-step processes without the cost of building it all in-house. And every engagement with Togo starts with free process mapping, and Togo doesn't bill a dime until the real work begins. Programs start as low as $1,000 a month and are built to scale without breaking the bank. Visit harnesstogo.com and mention PHLY for a free operational assessment. Sling TV is one of the most flexible ways to watch live TV, and with the college basketball tournament coming up, Sling TV gives you access to the games and more control over how and where you tune in. Check this out. Sling has flexible 1, 3, and 7-day pass options. That means instant access to live TV for the men's and women's tournaments. You can get a day pass starting at just $4.99, and Sling is celebrating the chaos that everyone loves about the tournament. They are making it more fun to root for underdogs this year. If you purchase any pass from Sling and a 12 through 16 seed makes it to the round of 16 in either the men's or women's tournament, then your next day pass is just $1. Get signed up at sling.com/underdog. If an underdog wins, then you win too. Live TV your way. Learn more at sling.com/underdog. No purchase required. To learn more and see the full rules, visit sling.com/underdog. Well, welcome back. You have us over 200 likes, so let's just keep pumping in them likes. Let's do it. All right, it is time to talk about Trevor Zegras, Charlie. He was had he scored in the shootout, and it like maybe doesn't even get to TK because they went first. I am very much naming him the unsung hero, especially based on just like his first period. But he made a couple of plays tonight that were, listen, he's just not good at faceoffs. 1 for 13 tonight for a whopping 8%. However, there were like 2 that they gave him the loss on. Then I was like, but still, like, all right, 3 for 13 isn't all that much better. Like the overtime one, I think for sure he was trying to push that back or push it forward so Tippett could just get to it. And like they marked it as a loss, whatever. But outside of that, he is doing center-like things and just, the opposite of playing hockey for clicks like things, creating turnovers like he did to set up the Emil Andre goal, battling along the wall, and then using his puck skills to create a little space. And then, oh, there's the trailer. Here you go, Emil Andre. He has been doing things like that more consistently, creating turnovers on the wall, high in the zone. I just really, really liked Zegras and Grundstrom and Tippett tonight, especially in the first period. I think like the XG numbers got like slashed in half after that when Vancouver really picked it up in the second. But I thought they had really strong first. He draws that penalty in overtime on Quinn Hughes just by working hard. I was really impressed with the other stuff Zegras does. We know he's got the amazing playmaking ability. We know he's a cheat code in the shootout despite tonight's result. Those things, when he starts to bunch them up, like, oh, he had 3 or 4 plays like that in the game. That's when I'm like, oh, this is something special.
I really, really like that penalty he drew in overtime.
Yes.
I know it didn't lead to a goal. They obviously don't finish. Power play remains a problem. It's been a problem for how long, but it remains a problem. The fact they weren't able to score on either of those power plays, the one at the end of regulation into overtime, and then the one that was entirely in overtime. But the work that he did on Quinn Hughes, Quinn Hughes tries to kind of dipsy doodle around him, and Zegras just like, nah, not on my watch. And then he draws the penalty as a result. And that's just good, tough hockey. And I'm of the opinion that Trevor Zegras got a bad rap, but I also absolutely believe he's matured a bit over these last couple of years.
Yeah.
I think, everything I heard this past summer talking to people who knew Zegras was that he went into the summer with the idea of, I'm going to prove all these doubters wrong. I'm going to prove to all these people who think I'm just about the flash that all I am is, a finesse soft player, and I'm going to show them that I'm more than that. I think he was always more than that, and I think he got a bit of a bad rap, but I do think he is purposely trying to show those people that they were wrong. Now, some of those people, particularly the ones who are operating in bad faith, he's never going to convince.
Yeah.
He's never going to convince. I did find it funny that, Bill, I'm not even going to consider Trevor Zegras for the U.S. Olympic team. Guerin was in the house for this game, and Zegras Had some pretty playoff hockey-like plays in front of Bill Guerin. Like,
Yeah.
Bill, maybe your perception of Trevor Zegras is incorrect. Just saying. But anyway, can Zegras play center full time? I think what he's showing over this run, and this is probably the most important part about it, is he can play center for the Philadelphia Flyers and it not be a disaster. I get the sense that Tocchet had this idea in his head in the first half that, like, if I play Trevor Zegras at center, and if Matvei Michkov is getting more than 12, 13 minutes a night, we're never going to win a game because it's just going to be a dumpster fire. Well, Matvei Michkov got like 16 minutes tonight, and Trevor Zegras played center the entire game, and they went into the house of one of the 4 or 5 best teams in the league on paper with having played the night before, playing against the rest of the team, and still beat them. I'm pretty sure that giving Zegras time at center and giving Michkov like not fourth line minutes, it's not going to kill this team. And that's important because I think that the long-term future of this team is better if Zegras is getting more time at center. If Michkov is getting not 20 minutes a night, but not 10 minutes a night. And in these games, since the return from the Olympic break, we're seeing that, like, Rick, it's not the end of the world if you use them at center. They're not going to lose every game. In fact, they may win more games than they lose.
The other thing I've really liked about Zegras is we all remember the first 41 games capped off with the 2-goal performance against the Ducks. The next 12 games after that, he had 5 points. 2 goals, 3 assists. It was like, all right, is he wearing down? Was he just on a hot streak? Was the Ducks game his Stanley Cup and now he's, mailing it in? Whatever the narratives were. And since that time, he has now bounced back a bit. He isn't back at a point a game in these last 12, but he is building up, and I think he has been, once again, more noticeable on a nightly basis than he was in the beginning of the second half of the season. I thought he really did start to fade a bit, and now, and this goes back to before the break, but especially since the break, he's on a 4-game point streak now. He's been much more noticeable and just much more the guy we saw in the first half. And I think that's encouraging as well because you're going to need to be able to perform late in the season. Yeah. And guess what? In the playoff, now you're going, potentially another 27 games after the 82 or 84 starting next year. Like, I am just impressed by the way he's been able to do that.
No, it's a really good point because that was something we talked about in November that, hey, Trevor Zegras can score. We know he's talented. We know he's got offensive ability. The concern was what's going to happen when we get to March? What's going to happen when we get to April? Maybe the Flyers won't make the playoffs, but those games, It's a different style of play. Once you get to March and April, the teams are more adept at their systems. They're playing a tighter game. The best teams are preparing for the playoffs, so they're adjusting their style to be more. They're intentionally doing it. The coaches are telling them we have to play a different way because the playoffs are going to be different, so we have to prepare for that. And Zegras is showing that he can still score. Even when the games get tighter, even when the teams are not blowing coverages the way they are in October and November because they're still getting used to playing hockey as a unit again, that he can still find ways to produce even when the defenses are better. And that's really encouraging, not just for what it says about Zegras' ability to produce across the entirety of the regular season, but also one day what it says about his ability to produce in the playoffs.
All right, it is now time for Charlie O'Connor's 3 stars of the game. That's right. Nice win tonight. Few standout performances. Let's see who Charlie has at star number 3.
Yeah, star number 3, I kind of hinted at this a few minutes ago. I'm going with Travis Konecny. And I'm going with Travis Konecny despite the fact that I think in regulation, he had a pretty bad game. He made mistakes. He actually finished dead last on the Flyers in terms of on-ice expected goals for percentage. He was down at around 15% on-ice share. Real bad. And then he misses that opportunity late in regulation to give the Flyers the 2 points right then and there. But what does he do? Shakes it off. And then after Jesper Wallstedt stops both Matvei Michkov and Trevor Zegras in a shootout, especially Zegras, Konecny goes out there, finishes the job, gets the boys a win. For that and that alone, but also the lead up to it and everything he had to shake off to get there, Travis Konecny is their star of the game.
Well, Charlie, you actually undersold him compared to whoever picked stars in Minnesota tonight. He was the first star of the game.
Was officially,
he really? Yeah.
Well, a little inside baseball about that, what I will tell you, and I don't know this for a fact.
Someone writes winner.
Yes. So because you have to rush it down to the announcer, a lot of times what'll happen is you'll like leave a spot blank and say, whoever scores the game-winning goal in overtime or a shootout, they get first start.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that's probably what happened because no one watched this game aside from that one play and thought Travis Konecny, best player of the game. No one.
Who is star number 2?
Star number 2, I am going with Trevor Zegras. I thought,
Ziggy.
given the fact that he's playing at center, given that really, really good play he made on the Andre goal, and then I really like the play in overtime as well. Could he have done more? Sure. But I thought Zegras, given the quality of competition, thought he had a really strong game down the middle, and he's an integral part in giving the Flyers the early lead, which I think was really important in this game, given the fact that they were going to get tired as the game went on. That's another thing we really didn't talk about. I guess I can talk about it when I talk about first star, but the fact that they were able to come back from down in the third period, despite being in the second game of back-to-back against a rested opponent, really impressive.
It is. And now it's time for tonight's first star.
First star of the game, obviously, for the second straight night, it is Owen Tippett. Fantastic game by Owen Tippett. I mean, this dude was flying again. Love that from Brenna. Brenna put up the graphics for 3 stars of the game, and she has under Owen Tippett, slap shot beauty. Indeed it was. Indeed it was, Brenna.
I want to see him do that more now.
I feel like he can't get away with it more.
No.
Now the goalies know he'll potentially do it. They'll be looking for it. I think it was one of those things where maybe you can only get away with it once.
Try it another time or two.
Okay.
And then now you have opened up yourself to goalie gets set. Oh, I can deke him now. His 5 holes wide open. Like, I'm just saying, maybe there's some different stuff you can run off of it, you know?
But yeah, we talked about Owen Tippett. He was great tonight.
Fantastic.
I'm now just curious to see how long he can keep this going. You know, as I said, I've seen him have great games before. I've seen him have games as good as this. I've seen him even have his games as good as last night's game, which I think was even better than this one. But I've rarely seen him do it one right after another. We've now seen him do it in 2 straight. Can he do it? Can he do it in 3 straight? Then suddenly it's not well, he's inconsistent and his highs are super high. Then it is, he's on a hot streak, and can the Flyers ride this?
Maybe. All right, we will take your super chats coming up after this 2-minute break. Channel that fresh start energy of spring and finally launch your new business with Shopify. 2026 is the year you rewrite your story, own your future, and make your entrepreneurial dreams come true. Start your business with Shopify in 2026 and become who you're meant to be. Shopify gives you everything you need to sell online and in person. Millions of entrepreneurs have already made this leap, from household names to first-time business owners just getting started. Shopify gives you all the tools to easily build your dream store. Choose from hundreds of beautiful templates that you can customize to match your brand, and the marketing's built in too. Create email and social campaigns that reach customers wherever they scroll. In 2026, stop waiting and start selling with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/allcity. Go to shopify.com/allcity. That's shopify.com/allcity. Hear your first this new year with Shopify by your side. Let me tell you about a local business that's been helping Philly homeowners and businesses stay pest-free. It's Evans Pest Control. This isn't some giant national chain. They're a family-owned, community-focused pest control company right here in the Philly area, and they've been earning the trust of our neighborhoods for years. Evans Pest Control uses state-of-the-art equipment, safe and effective treatment options, and their techs go through continuous training so they're equipped to handle anything: rodents, insects, termites, even bed bugs. They offer priority services and consultations, which is huge when you have a problem with pests. Everybody in Philly knows pests don't knock. They just show up. That's why you need Evans. So if you see signs of pests or just want to prevent them before they start, reach out to Evans Pest Control. Visit evanspestmgmt.com to schedule your free consultations. That's Evans Pest Control at evanspestmgmt.com. Hit the like button. Get us to 250 before we finish super chats. I almost forgot what they were called. All right.
It's late.
You know. And with that, we get to your super chats. Leading off tonight's our old pal R Park. Says Andre plays, Flyers win.
He's not wrong.
Someone had like the winning percentage in the chat the other night, and it's substantial.
Yeah, they do well when Andre's in the game, and he scored a goal tonight. I considered making him one of my 3 stars, but then Konecny scores the the shootout game winner. Vladar redeems himself for his slowish start, so I pushed Andre out, but he was consideration. Just didn't get a lot of ice time, but he's not in special teams. So that's the biggest reason why he finishes down around, like, I think he had about 13 minutes. But he was good in those minutes. Drove play, scores the goal. Thought he certainly made a strong case that this shouldn't just be a one-game return to the lineup, that he should usurp one Noah Juleson on the depth chart for at least the next little bit.
Yeah, 13-22, scored a goal, 3 shots and a hit. I'll take that. I'll take that for my third pair defenseman. Yeah. All right, next one here is from Corey P. Norris, I'm going to guess. I feel like we've had many Corey Super Chats before.
There are a lot of Corys.
I'm stoked for the win, but games like this make the blowout loss versus the Rangers the other day extra annoying.
Yeah, they're a mid team. They are a middle of the pack team, and unfortunately, middle of the pack teams do this. This is the profile of a middle of the pack team, a team that can lose to the worst team in the East and then 4 days later beat one of the best teams in the entire league.
Yeah, it's and that, like, blowout loss, I could, all right, man, they just didn't have it. The 82-game season, there are clunkers, but those are always going to, like, shine brighter because of how they played in January. It's just going to keep coming back to that for me. Like, those 15 games leading up to the Olympic break, man, you can't afford to lose in any fashion to the Rangers, let alone, like, you get killed by a team that's given up.
But to go back to what Corey hinted at, though, even in January, even as bad as that month was, they beat the friggin' Colorado Avalanche in Denver.
5 out of 6 points on that trip. Just ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was like, those were 2 of their 3 wins during that stretch. Yeah. Vegas, who, not very good, but, like, they're going to make the playoffs, and their roster's real good. Yeah. And Colorado, best record in the league. All right, JH weighs in saying, we're so effing back. I'm getting my streaking shorts ready because we're going streaking, MFers. Why not us? They got a lot of teams to jump, but hey, like Charlie said, Saturday's game has some juice now, and that's cool.
Yeah, I was not expecting to be as intrigued by Saturday's game as I am now. If they lose Saturday, then we're back into, yeah, this was fun, and they're playing hard to end the year, but whatever.
Yeah.
They win Saturday, especially in regulation. They don't give the Blue Jackets a loser point. Suddenly, we all have to start taking this at least a little bit seriously.
And regulation wins against especially Metro opponents are huge at this point because the Flyers have 20 regulation wins. They are, like, by far the furthest out in the race.
I don't think that matters really anymore because they're so far behind.
Yeah, they just
they're not going to break. They're not going to win tiebreakers against anyone at this point. What matters is not giving one of those teams the extra point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, they're so far behind in regulation wins. They're like 8 or 9 in some cases.
There's no chance.
All right. Next one here is J Juenotube. I think he's told me how to pronounce it before, and I'm sorry, I forget. No, I think it's Juno.
I'm gonna call him Mr. Tube.
Yeah, Juno. I can admit it. I was wrong. I thought Tippett had plateaued and hit a ceiling, but I'm a convert. That contract is going to be a steal. And that is another end of maybe, like, I'm not trading him off the table. Like, he's not an untouchable to me. And part of that is at the price he signed for, a team is going to be like, hell yeah.
Yeah. And the cap just keeps going up. I think one of the agents tweeted out a couple days ago that, like, in about 3 years, they're expecting to be like 120 million.
Yeah.
Wild. Like, a little over $6 million. I got news for you. By the time he's in year 5 of that contract, it's going to be peanuts.
Yeah, that's like what a fourth liner is going to be making.
Maybe not that far.
No, 6 mil will be $6 mil will be like the league average salary at that point.
Yeah.
All right. Next one here is JH again. I love that I hate that I love this team. I'm right there with you, JH. My mood changes by I don't know, the shift with this team. Like, I resigned myself weeks ago to tankathon season, and now I'm just like, I guess we got to ride this because they're not going to fall into the top 10 unless they lose every game in April. And even at that point, like, look at the bottom of this league. It's so bad.
Unlikely.
Like, it just doesn't seem like it's going to happen. So why not just kick back and enjoy it? And if we end up picking 14th, we end up picking 14th, and there's worse fates, I guess. entertaining hockey is better than not entertaining.
My view of this, and look, I acknowledge that the Flyers could certainly use another blue chip prospect.
Oh, sure.
Absolutely could. But I will say that if they make the playoffs, or if they come close to making the playoffs and they end up in one of those like dead zone spots, it also implies that they are closer to being a playoff team than maybe we thought they were, which in theory means they have, like, if they make a big ad, it's not like if you make a big ad to a team that has the 4th worst record in hockey, that maybe bumps you up to having the 10th worst record in hockey. If you make a big ad to a team that finished 15th, 16th from the bottom, make a big ad, you might be a playoff team, especially when you're also adding Porter Martone and presumably improving the backup goalie position.
Look at the difference between, and again, they're still a while away from the Wild, but like Quinn Hughes, one of the best players in the sport, was on Vancouver. That team is a disaster. Put him on a good team, and they could win the Stanley Cup.
Minnesota was a good team. Now they are an elite team.
Yes,
you somehow find a way to get an elite player. The Flyers go from being a mid team to being a playoff team, and then they maybe make a couple more moves. Then 3-4 years down the line, they're an elite team.
And to the point,
you need to build from somewhere.
To the point of at least being in contention. That just makes it, we're gonna have to make trades, sign free agents, get someone to sign an offer sheet, whatever. A little more attractive.
Yeah.
A team that is close to and then maybe makes the playoffs is more attractive than so you've been out 6 or 7 years in a row? Nah, I'm good.
It's true. So I get it. I do. I would love to, when June's coming up, to be talking about the Flyers, like who are they going to take with the 5th overall pick? That's fun. And they really could use more prospects, more blue chip prospects, particularly at premium positions like center and defense. But I don't think them picking 14th, 15th is all bad. I think there are positives that can come from that. Namely, it implies they're not awful.
Yeah. It's good not to have an awful team, I think. All right. Next one here is from K. Goodman, 1986. Tippett trade value is increasing, and the draft pick doesn't matter because it's going away after we sign Fantilli or Carlson. Danny has options.
It does. And again, I've said that it will hurt if they lose Owen Tippett. It will. But if they lose Owen Tippett and get back a 1C in that deal, I think we'll all handle it.
I'll live. I think I'll be able to live with that, Charlie. All right. Hattrick Patrick weighs in with the only way they should trade Owen Tippett is if they get an Owen Tippett who plays center in return. All right. This leads me.
So
and that's
Connor McDavid.
That's the comparison we're making.
Well, I mean, when Owen Tippett said his best.
Yes. I understand. Now, we had a chuckle about that like people are going to take that part from last night and be like, Charlie comparing him to Connor McDavid. But what I will say about this, it leads me to a tweet you and I got today. Have they ever tried him at center? Would they ever try him at center?
I think let's hold that because I believe there's another super chat coming that asked that question.
Okay. David Shub here says, I love when the team proves me wrong. I really want them to be good. If this team gets a legit center, Berglund looks good and Jiricek hits. Oh, baby. Yeah, and listen, we got Cole Knuble joining. He's a center, right? Maybe he's something.
Yeah, I think he's a bottom sixer, but
yeah, probably.
It's fine. What I will say is don't be expecting Jack Berglund to solve the Flyers center problems. I think he can be a solid NHL player. I'm not sure he can be much more than a good 3C. If they're going to get the impact center they need, it's almost certainly going to have to come from a trade.
It feels like they're going to have to come from outside the organization. Now, crazy stuff happens. Maybe they're right about Nesbitt, and they get him on an NHL weight training program, and suddenly he can skate, and he's freaking Sam Reinhart. But that would be a 1% outcome.
It would be a surprise.
Yeah. All right. David again weighs in with, why can't Tip just play center?
It was coming.
Center school?
I watch Owen Tippett. I do not see a guy who plays a center style. I don't know if he has the vision to be a center and the instincts in that way to be a center. There are some guys I watch, like, and this is going to maybe be a bit controversial. I don't necessarily think this is going to go this route. I watch Denver Barkey and I wonder. He's real small, and that might be what keeps. But I watch the skill set. I watch his attention to detail. I watch the plays he sees before other people. I watch him and his battle. Like, I loved it's late in the third period in the second game of back-to-back, and he's winning puck battles along the boards, bailing out Emil Andre
Deep
when
in
he
the
makes a
D-zone,
mistake.
yeah.
Like, he should be exhausted, and he's battling. I watch Denver Barkey, and I'm like, maybe. I don't watch Owen Tippett and think maybe. That's just me personally.
Also, it took till Owen Tippett. He turned 27 a month ago, and he's over 400 career games now. It took him this long to become a good right winger. How many guys at 27 and after 400 games totally changed their responsibilities on the ice? And like none ever, you know. I just don't see that happening. Maybe Brent Burns like became a defenseman.
Yeah, I mean, Tage Thompson became a center, but I don't think he was that old. He was still in his like 23, 24, 25 range.
Like, it took this long to get here with Tippett. I don't know if he has, and now he's a 2C and a damn good one in him. Like, that would be, again, like a 1% outcome. It would be dope. That would be a huge problem solver. The logjam at wing gets fixed. The center problem gets fixed. It would be great. I don't see it happening. All right, next one from David. Flyers Center School, class of summer 2026. Who's going to teach it?
That's really good.
They don't have any.
It's a really good point.
Like, is Bob Clark coming back to practice? Guy's like 80 now.
Yeah, I don't know if we want that.
Like, who's taking him to the rink? Does he know where it is?
No,
I'm joking.
He's still all there mentally. Fine. I just don't think he wants to be on the ice too much anymore.
I wouldn't either. He did his part. Like, why I don't want Drew back? You served your time. Thank you. You're good. Yeah. Everyone else, it's your problem now. All right. Next one. Oh, one more from David. Tip looked like effing Lindros on that clapper. I tweeted shades of John LeClair.
Yeah. It was a 90s era goal.
It was just, like stand-up goalie. Like, back. Yeah, let me just see if I can pump this by him. And he did.
Like, I remember in that the Steve Yzerman goal that won the game in overtime, that playoff replay. It was a little reminiscent of that. Like, those goals were fun, man. I miss them.
It's just like,
goddamn goalies. They had to get better.
You can only score from so many, like, there are only so many plays, like, where goals happen. Yeah. And that's not one of them. So it was fun. All right. Next one here is JH. Charlie, pick up the phone. It's the We're Back department, and they've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty. It's a shared department.
We're so back.
We're
apparently so back.
We are like more than halfway through the super chats, and I am really happy about how positive they are. I did not see this coming.
Okay.
All right. Next one is hat trick again. Perhaps Vladar gets hit in the head so much because he's huge and teams are forced to take high shots on him.
That's probably part of it.
I'm sure that's part of it. That just... Maybe we just haven't had, like, other than Fedotov, and, like, the puck just never hit him. So maybe it would have hit him in the head more if he'd made more saves. But we've never had, like, the now prototypical, like, 6'4", 6'5" goalie that everyone wants. Sure. Maybe it's more regular with that, but I just feel like...
was pretty big.
Yeah, I remember Mason being good. I just, like, that was like 12 years ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago. Yeah. I'm just trying to think of the last big goalie they had.
Yeah.
Good, and Mason was probably the last one because Hart was pretty small.
He was
not super small, but he was not huge.
He was like not the size you're looking for, but his technical play made up for it. He wasn't the 6'5" guy.
Exactly.
All right. Hat trick again. Friendly reminder, JJ was high in Minnesota tonight. Is the press box really high up there?
It's not low. I would say Edmonton's the highest press box I've been to as a beat writer. I think Minnesota's might be decently high.
Okay.
But maybe he mentioned that on the broadcast.
He may have. I missed it. I can't believe I missed what could have been a funny joke, but I didn't hear that. But all right. Next one, David Chubb. Sorry for the spam. It seems there are good teams we're just a hard matchup for, and also teams that are bad, like the Rangers that we just suck against. Perhaps.
Maybe.
And there is something I will say too, like the Rick Tocchet 1-goal games. I'm not crediting him with the team winning against good teams recently, but like to then you would have to say, well, it's his fault they lose to bad teams. But they play nothing but 1-goal games, and they're really good in shootouts. So maybe there's something to that system stymieing teams. All right, Mellerman is next. Oh, overtime.
Okay.
Go to 12:06. I had it wrong. Go to allphly.com to finish watching. I thought it was 07. All right. Now it's Mellerman. Shots to the mask are uncomfortable, not so much because they hurt, but because it's so loud when it hits. Some are so loud they make your ears ring.
Yeah, that makes sense.
No, it does. And that was always what was funny about Czechmonic doing it on purpose. Like, buddy, you might get, like, in today's game, the concussion spotter might, cause like, you gotta take a shift here. They would never do that to a goaltender. All right. Next one is Mark Cannoli. 2019 Blues, who team plays well against wagons. They do seem to play well against good teams. It's just like beat the Rangers every now and then, and you'd really have yourself a season.
Yeah, maybe.
All right. This one is from Wylan Ernst. Woo! Are you feeling optimistic for Saturday? I'm looking forward to Saturday. I'm looking forward to seeing what team shows up. As we've said,
I think it's where I'm at.
Yeah, like
I don't know which Flyers team is going to show up.
You can't predict what the hell they're going to do. Like, we were like, oh, scheduled loss at pregame today, and they beat the freaking Wild.
I think the best way for me to answer this, Wyland, is I'm not pessimistic.
That's what okay. Yeah.
I wouldn't quite say I'm optimistic, but I'm not pessimistic.
I am looking forward to a Flyers game in mid-March, and that's rare. All right. As we make our way through here, another one from Cannoli. Giroux had a couple breakaway slap shots, right? He definitely did it a couple times. I can remember a Lawton one.
Breakaway slap shots to me are of a different animal. Because guys still do those sometimes. Malkin does them sometimes. Lawton did them a couple times at the end of his tenure with the Flyers. Those aren't completely, out of vogue, but it's the slap shots like in the play.
Yes.
Those are the ones that you don't see very often.
Like, this was a cross neutral zone feed over to Tippett. He takes 2 strides over the line and says, let's see.
I'm blasting.
Yeah. I just start blasting. That's for Steve. All right. K-Red, I got nothing. Here's money.
Thanks, K-Red.
That was really like
good.
When they scored the first goal for only the 21st time this season. I was like, of course they did. Of course they did.
Yeah.
All right. Next one is David again. Offer sheet Bedard. Yeah, I'm sure Chicago would let him go.
I imagine they would match anything.
I don't know. The Wirtz family's pretty cheap. Maybe.
I
K-Red.
don't think they'll even get to the point of an offer sheet.
I would be surprised. K-Red says, JJ randomly said we're high in Minnesota tonight. Okay. Oh, okay. That's funny. Maybe they were. Who knows? I doubt it. Obi-Wan. Last one here from Obi-Wan.
Mitsu Bilshi. Or Mitsu Charlie.
I'm not even going to try because I'm not allowed to swear on here. But yes, thank you.
Those were good times.
Thank you.
That ad read, that was a fun ad read.
It was.
Well, it was a fun ad read for me to listen to. It may not have been a fun ad read for you to say.
I didn't know I'd been saying it wrong my whole life until I started doing the ad read, and they're like, that's incorrect. All right, and that... Thank you, Obi. That is all the time we have for you on PHLY Flyers Postgame tonight. Thank you all for listening. Thanks for hanging out. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Follow us right here on the PHLY Sports YouTube page. Follow us on Twitter, PHLY_Flyers, and follow the podcast wherever you get those. I'm Bill Matz. That's Charlie O'Connor. Thank you, as always, to Brenna. Be excellent to each other.
We all silly like the mayor.